have a complaint about anything broadcast on this radio station, please contact the manager on 378 0255 and your complaint will be investigated appropriately. We are happy to provide a copy of the formal complaints procedure issued by the Broadcasting Standards Authority. If you feel that broadcasting standards have been seriously breached, formal complaints may be addressed in writing to the manager, Arrow FM, Radio House, Church Street, Masterton. Please ensure that your complaint is lodged within 20 working days of the broadcast. If you wish to take your complaint further, you may contact the Broadcasting Standards Authority and we will help you to do so. Arrow FM is committed to the highest standards of community broadcasting and welcomes your input.
This is Arrow FM, Wairarapa's only community access radio station. We are partly funded through New Zealand On Air, with contributions from Masterton Trust House Foundation, the Eastern and Central Community Trust, COGS, Masterton District Council, and all our generous program sponsors. Thanks everyone for helping Access Radio survive and flourish in the Wairarapa.
Good afternoon, this is Sheldopedia. Good day, I'm Sheldon Betteridge. Good day and welcome to Sheldopedia. On today's show, we're going to talk about what is levels in place for Waker and Northland. That's all coming up after I played. After I played. After I played, LL by Joel Cott. Love goes on by Oliver Trip.
Babe, you too controlling. I'ma feed you to the wolves when you get nasty back at me. But baby, don't distract me. I'm a goner. I lost her. Like, why the hell you wanna play me that way? You're bad, babe. You double-faced entendre. Life goes on and 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 on. On and 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 on. On and 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 on. On and 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 on. Babe, you 'cause I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I'll light this place on fire. I want it, but baby, at least I'm honest. I get tired of explaining as these seasons keep on changing. Life goes on and 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 on. Yeah, 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 yeah. On and 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 on. Yeah, 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 yeah. On and 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 on. Yeah, 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 yeah. On and 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 on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Work all day and then I wake up. Work all day and then I wake up. Work all day and then I wake up. Work all day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Work all day and then I wake up. Work all day and then I wake up. Work all day and then I wake up. Work all day.
Fails logos by Overtree on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM. Northland and much of Wairarapa will remain at level 3 for another 5 days. COVID-19 response minister Chris Hipkins have confirmed the rate is plunged into level 3 when Auckland's ongoing Delta outbreak spread out of the city. Hipkins is getting contact tracing information from 2 women, one fit with COVID, one who related test positive, who travelled from Auckland to Northland. Using falsified travel extension documents remains slow going. Advise people go and get tested. We still don't have cause effect. We got full enough picture of the situation, he said. As can say, there's 35 new community cases were reported on Thursday. 2 of them are Waikato, while the rest are in Auckland. The new cases were members of the same household who live in Hamilton have been transferred to a managed isolation facility. Traditional Health.Ashley Bloomfield said they haven't been linked to the outbreak but have few exposure events, he said. Parts of the Waikato have been at level 3 for 10 days after Raglan Te Kauwhata. Hardly Nangawa here, Hamilton City, and some areas moved to level 3 at midnight on October 3rd. Board outside of the Waikato boundary was uniform include for Waitama district, including Te Koiti, Waipa district and Otahunga district. Norfolk was moved to level 3 on Friday after 2 women, one infected with COVID and one later test positive travel fair from Auckland using falsified travel extension documents. Since then, a few person here was first in Norfolk and first time for essential work delivering goods to a tire store. Deems Taylor Tow Service and Whangare's camera closed for a deep clean and isolate yourself at the freight worker was on a site on Saturday. Exposure events were low because the journey took place in the early hours in the morning. Blueville said again on Monday the regions may move down to level 2 along the rest of the country outside Auckland. But on Thursday, the decision will be reviewed on Wednesday. We'll talk about the government. Gonna talk about the government, how they cut bigger measures. It's all coming up after I played. After I played. Love to Know by Shells.
All
Farewell's Love Tonight by Shows. Right, let's. Government as research drive carbon cutting ideas to public so anyone can have a say. Under the Zero Carbon Act, a measure was retouched was meant to be in law by the end of December, but the government gave itself a 5-month extension. Now the government has proposed to give an occasion as low a start to the cutting greenhouse gases emissions. By allowing more measures during the next 4 years, 3 years later, will make a more than make up a difference later. The proposal document shows that almost 2 years after the passing of the Zero Carbon Act and almost a year after declaring a climate emergency, many have suggested proposals may not have feasibility, costing and estimates of the emissions savings confirmed by the government department. The government wants to add 2 million tonnes to the carbon budgets proposed by the Climate Change Commission. The independent experts appointed it to be a path to carbon neutrality, but more may exist of around 16 million tonnes less climate pollution from 2025 to 2035. But the justification of CFA of far side of which federal planning to plant more new trees and preserve says the government wasn't able to say to favourable to the Climate Commission. Commission. What about the Climate Change Commission? Well, the new trees will eventually be a carbon sink. The government says that we use a planet called China soil release more carbon dioxide from a changed land than previously expected. Once fast growth will more concentrate more than the early emission. The early emissions, the document says. Ultimately, the government says that least of a climate 40 million tonnes of a pollution better off. The Prime Minister said the government would prioritise ideas to save people money like a cleaner energy that lead to lower power bills, but climate campaigners Generation Zero. Quarter draft disgrace criticised the lack of policies for agriculture advice to meet even the Climate Change Commission's ambitious emission budgets. See Cabana and Adam Curry. Forest Peace Kevin Haig said the government was not acting like the other climate measures that veers lack clear policies such as their on agriculture, energy and nature-based solutions such as that some nations still haven't got a message that New Zealand is committed to tackling climate change. It is remarkable that the government has published over 30 pages of thinking and analysis from transport but only 4 pages on agriculture. Our biggest source of information is the take. New Zealand's greenhouse emissions, gross emissions have reached the peak in 2006 but haven't fallen significantly for over a decade. New Zealand's emissions have long set around 80 million tonnes a year, but hit a record 82.3 million at the last count in 2018 after Australia pushed up coal burning to make electricity. The Commission's report to the government in May suggested the budget in the part to keep it blind on pursuing the government for creating a last-minute scramble by choosing years short-term thinking and easy options over real change. To meet government's proposed budget for the next 4 years, the country will need slash 7.7 million tonnes off the tally and is triggered towards the under current policy settings. Primarily estimates suggest that new proposals could shave off 26 to 5.6 million tonnes depending on the factors such as how the carbon price goes, how players react to fair price, and finer details such as whenever people embrace composting. There still is a gap of between 2.1 million and 5.1 million tonnes, even accounting more than a lenient budget. But not all proposals have been documented have fair climate benefits counted, so unquantified prices will help fill the gaps. Further, it's difficult to guess how much. But most detailed proposals, carbon transport, which government says needs more than raising carbon prices to pushing up petrol prices to shift where it needs to go. A congestion charge for Auckland in the next 4 years subjects EV and e-bike sharing schemes. And rent-to-buy schemes, cheaper train and bus rates and safer routes to schools are among the proposals. 30% of cars will be electric by 2055 and people in special cities will travel fifth least by car. Driver agents Mark Gabby said 30% EV share was possible and therefore preferable for climate reasons. We're starting to send signals to the global automotive industry, said New Zealand serious about electrification. People might be headed for more than composting even if it goes under Cuso collection bin under proposal to ban food waste, paper and gutter waste from landfills by 2030. Trucking companies, airports, helicopter tourism authorities and other bigger matters might need to go public with their carbon footprints and the waste caused by drafty homes and offices, and building emissions encouraging new ways are also up for scrutiny. Innocent Dutch climate change minister John Shaw said that Sheldon Betteridge's timeline didn't change the goal's net zero emissions. Since the Commission's final phase was published, additional work has been done for the starting point for the next 3 emission budget. This week shows target hits were more significant than the Commission anticipated. The government is asking the private sector to put forward a proposal for what companies can do to do deepen emission cuts and what they will need from a government. It also asking public to propose new measures that document has little in the way of detailed new proposal for agriculture, which is subject to an intergovernmental climate partnership. And subject to an industry government climate partnership will not contribute to emissions reductions before 2025. All 3 government notices the Climate Change Commission recommendation has set for target for renewable energy, including boilers and heating, and hasn't come up to the target yet. The Commission also recommended abandoning petrol for 100% renewable electricity by 2030 for high 90s instead. The government decided to fed until 2025 after feasibility studies on pumped hydro and other green power ideas are done. While the number of native trees being planted versus supply trees had become a hot climate issue. The document does not put forward ideas to shift the balance. Furious asks for feedback for this. The proposals include cash for old dunga seeds to help people trade in polluting cars, a possible ban on importing the highest polluting vehicles, and Auckland congestion charge rate associated by 2025. Fine for EV and e-bike share schemes for communities happy, removing regularity hurdles to try proper walking cycling lanes, big energy users, emitting more than 100,000 tonnes per year would have publicized carbon footprints, including Frontier Airport and helicopter tourism companies and shipping companies. Discounted public transport fares, especially for the community service card holders. Cheap leader for retrofit old blades over useless energy. Secure collection of kitchen compost in all cities. Avoid adding more bigger roads to encourage more people to drive. Safer walking and cycleways around schools are banned from Telsford on sending green paper, feeding green roads to rainfields and CSFO moves to bolster native tree planting. Next year on, we never to regulate carbon farming, planting permanent forests to earn carbon credits. Measure how much petrol plus core health boosts carbon stored on native forests to try for pencil. Some measures until the end of 12th of November. Tells everyone here highlights by the sector. Energy and industry share emissions 26% care proposals versus a chunk of nation's emissions cover spending coal and gas to make electricity, cement, steel, aluminium plus coal boilers, dry milk powder, coal, gas heating for greenhouses, hospitals, schools and homes, and so as well as so-called vegetative emissions from oil and gas supply. The rising carbon price emission trading scheme should be a big dent in these industrial emissions and add a boost from existing government funding to business wanting to switch to cleaner boilers and electricity replacing an increase in pure petrol, diesel and coal gas. The government needs to boost the electricity supply as well as share that comes from hydro, wind and solar. The plan is retire fossil fuel power station to an orderly way so through few constraint details however and say that work underway is make sure the electricity supply is secure. Bioenergy such as wood lies green hydrogen and may replace some of the fossil fuels, and the government wants to know that people about giving it more funding for biofuel and hydrogen. Big energy users emitting more than 100,000 tonnes a year might be need to report their carbon footprints to the public. This will capture Frontier Airports, big retailers, trucking companies and shipping companies. About 200 companies in total. Estimated emission savings by 2025, 1.5 to 3.3 million tonnes. GAP's proposal acknowledges the Commission's advice on energy for aim for 50% of all energy to be renewable by 2035 and settle for 495 and 98% of electricity, not 100% as the government wanted to be renewable by 2030. But there's no proposed renewable energy target in the document. As for 100% clean electricity goal, the government says it will review this in 2025 when it's known more about solutions or problem will be of dry years when hydro's low causes supply problems. The proposal also asks for important phase out gas levers and bidders to suggest a timeline. There's the one. New and separate such as cyclists are proposed to help people buy e-bikes to be suggested in a constellation document. Transport share emissions 20%. Key proposals: even if population grows, the average number of carriages per cars will fall by 20%. Are more measures part of climate commissions. And the Senate Commission relies on large numbers of people switching to petrol and diesel cars to EVs to support an active and public transport campaign as our government's proposals least optimistic about this. Campaigners will be far more pleased with places that invest heavily with main tranches starting in Auckland and Wellington, criteria low fares for public transport, particularly for community service card holders. Streets could be redesigned, particularly around schools, with more space handed over to footpath cycle lanes and features to stow cars and create safer conditions for active travellers. Auckland and Wellington drivers could face congestion charge by 2025. Crisis will be next on the agenda. The government has proposed an emissions cap above heavy emitting vehicles will not be allowed in the country, and on to existing policies under which cars owners can buy a polluted vehicle as long as they also buy EVs for balance. There was a proposal to renew French benefit tax exemptions for highly emitting vehicles, currently seen as an incentive for workplaces to buy double cab utes. EVs are completely out of the picture. Government wants to support electric bike and car leasing and sharing. It has also considered pushing forward an important ban on standard petrol and diesel cars to 2030. 5 years later, hybrids, non-plug-in and plug-in alike will be barred from entry for ones already in the country could still be sold. By this point, 30% of the cars on the roads will run on electricity. For the gas guzzlers, the government wants rising proportion of petrol and the power to come from renewable sources, making 50% less polluting by 2035. Old dungers could be swapped for cash and help buy cleaner vehicles, including e-bikes. Trucks will become nearer with more freight transported by rail and ships. New housing projects may need to show how they encourage residents to walk, cycle and use public transport. Estimated emission savings by 2025, 0.0 to 1.3 million tonnes. The GAP's researchers believe that transport choices are heavily influenced by advertising. The government proposes an awareness campaign, but there's nothing to restrict the promotion of polluting products such as utes. Building and housing share of emissions 4%, more counting and direct emissions from making building materials and energy use. Key proposals: snug buildings made without too much waste can cut emissions from electricity and construction, but the government does not want its efforts to make houses even more expensive. The building code could be tighter so new houses stay snug or cool with less electricity. Commercial buildings, even those already built, could face minimum requirements or on the cars of energy performance certificates, which encourage transparency around allowed energy use, a move welcomed by the Green Building Council. Agencies such as Hunger Order could fast-track lower carbon construction to leave a way for others and help people in poverty spend less on power bills. Cheap lending on retrofit old buildings is an option, along with subsidized rates or tax rebates for low emissions buildings. The Commission recommended the government to the end of the date of connecting new houses to the gas network, but a proposal still clear of featured a few. Alternatively, new buildings could be capped on how much pollution they take to one. People could decide how meet the cap. New housing projects could be needed to build near existing or planned public transport, walking and cycling, and the walls will be laid against the new roads, so any build to connect new communities will need to build low emission alternatives such as power cycle lanes and EV charging systems. SA emissions savings government proposals by 2025. GAPs. The plan mentions on a Warner Care Home schemes associated heat pumps, and but there's no talk of significant sale up for funding to get through estimated 600,000 homes that are under insulated. waste. Shell measures 4% of major problem here. Methane emissions from organic waste ended up in landfill food, paper, timber, and garden scraps. For landfill, subsidies catcher for gas to be fit for electricity, but success varies widely. Landfills may be required to install systems to catch feed gas if they don't have them, with possible ban on eventually on receiving organic waste from any landfills that can't catch methane. In the meantime, a lot more organic waste could be diverted from getting to landfill. Since not everyone has a big enough backyard for compost bin, the government says most communities are going to need kuso compost solution. There's wild options or green or garden raised food business could be required to separate food waste for use like commercial compost collectors such as animal food. Chamber could be phased out and climate vessels made responsible for disposing. Disposing old and unwanted items. Paper and cardboard recycled WFO's landfill could be banned by 2030 alongside WFO and green waste. Estimated measures savings on carbon process by 2025, 0.1 and 0.3 million tons ideas. To keep non-landfill measures are missing, for example, farm dumps. Farming shares measures 48%. Wow, that's incredibly ridiculous. For key proposal government as well known, he waka iki doa partnership with the agriculture industry to deliver emissions cuts. But then peso pricing farming emissions under fair partnership won't kick until 2025 under food emissions budget. While the zero carbon net imposes a limit on 10% methane cuts by 2030, the government's current mileage rate therefore drop of just 6.5% of the methane livestock. However, because the landfill methane headed for a bigger 40% drop, the countries may end up on track. The second biggest gas from agriculture is nitrous oxide. The second biggest gas from agriculture is nitrous oxide. That is contract to just 3.1% cuts by 2030. Both gases will be priced at the farm level from 2025 through no details have been announced. He Wakat Ikinoa is weaker on emissions pricing on farm emissions reported and on farm tree. Party to sucking carbon from other things the government is considering adding more effective services to helping upskill farmers, growers and marine landowners weaker on further regard to use for methane inhibitors ambulance advanced could feed the animals reduce their methane burping. Estimated the measure savings on government proposals by 2025 none gives the measure price of products such as methane question of inhibitors from microservice in the future, but proposal appear to spend a little when it cuts in the next 4 years unless farmers respond to an announcement of a price before the price gets done. Refrigerants is measures 2.5% inside the measured savings on government proposals by 2025 0.3 and 0.47 million tons. Fast track on phase out highest priority gases used in commercial scale heating and cooling systems. As well, import of heat passive register use pretty planet of warming gases and current energy buildings that don't need much heating and cooling. Forest share of emissions carbon sink absorb 50% of emissions, estimated emission savings from government proposals by 2025. 21 to 27 million tons of absorbed in the form of deficit based on policies alone. Foster choice by the government. The government wants feedback on how to manage fat. Under current EDs, a new pine forest whopper carbon dioxide cheaper but might reduce incentives for other industries to cut the emissions related to projects. Just 9% of forests will be planted by 2025 will be native trees. The government is considering changing EDs for other projects to more controlled waters planted where it also mulling whenever independent pine forests being planted and carbon credits decision will be made by the end of 2022. And also proposes far placing rules on carbon when farmers say fail transition to the permanent pine forests to native trees to ensure white cutter management happens in old growth native forests. The government wants to know how much better our blitz could be policy and carbon stocks by cutting nibbling and also work on a program on it agreed by the end of the year. Other true ideas include replacing some concrete and steel. Yesterday, one made in New Zealand using a logging of cars by method draft to play the size of reports signed by them would issues from logging could replace 70% of the domestic aviation or 30% of the diesel consumption. I guess the government says that giving careful consideration how to encourage high proportion of native trees on private land, but there's little detail on how it might do better beyond adding incentives by working with tree nurseries and to lower costs to raise seeding support. There's also no detail how about might intervene with a carbon farming market. Sheldon Betteridge says emissions not ethical key proposals that category considers least fossil fuel strays least says more flow by rail drawings the oil and gas can maintenance trucking industries will be affected. Alongside others, the plan acknowledges there will be need to identify these weakest of events support and retraining the social insurance policy already announced in the last budget's mention of reformers support system and also get a shutout. A government currently spends $2 billion or 1.5% of the GDP each year supporting research and development, but rail surveys that figure to 2%. It has also hired public servants to work in the equitable transition team as well as supporting builders and construction workers to upskill fire. Budget for climate change project established last year for workers who concerned about losing their jobs. Years and much detail the federal assure them one for only concrete new proposals on the subject is to develop an equitable transition strategy, meaning plan is to come up with a plan by 2025. Right, the next song we'll be playing is I'll be straight from the 2000s. Dance track, which is I'll be playing which is gonna play Well Hold On by Bob Sinclair.
Open up your heart, what do you feel? Is it real? Yeah. The Big Bang may be a million years away. Oh. But I can't think of a better time to say, well, hold on. Instead of messing with our future, open up inside. Well, hold on. One day you will have to answer to the children of the sky. Children of the sky. Look inside, you'll find a deeper love. The kind that only comes from high above. If you ever meet your inner child, don't cry, no, no. Tell them everything is gonna be alright. Well, hold on, come on. Everybody in the universe. Well, hold on. One day you will have to answer to the children of the sky. Children of the sky. Alright. Love, don't take no for an answer, no, no. Alright, right here, spread love. Everybody join together now. One voice, one heart, love and unity. Everybody say, well, hold on.
Pairs were held on by both Sinclair and Stevie was on Sheldopedia on Era EV. Right, I'm gonna play a track from the 1980s. Kill like a baby.
Open up inside.
Wrapped around each other, trying so hard to stay warm. That first cold winter together, lying in each other's arms, watching those old movies, falling in love so desperately. Honey, I was your hero, and you were my leading lady. We had it all, just like Bogey and the call. missing all the things we did. We can find it once again. I know, just like they did in Key Largo. Honey, can't you remember? We played all the parts. That sweet scene of surrender, when you gave me your heart. Please say you will play it again, 'cause I love you still. Maybe this can't be the end. We had it all, just like Bogey and Bacall, starring in our own late, late show, sailing away to Key Largo. Here's looking at you, kid, missing all the things we did. We can find it once again. I know, just like they did in Key Largo. We had it all, just like Bogey and Bacall, starring in our own late, late show, sailing away to Key Largo. Here's looking at you, kid.
Here's a picture of a bunch of flowers.
Right, Feathers, Key Largo by Betty Higgins on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM. I'm gonna more people die from VLC and shark attacks. That's a random fact. Final song I'll be playing for today is a gotta play a dance track from 2012, which is I'll be playing Paradise Tears remix like Coldplay. That was Paradise. Here's a remix on Sheldopedia on air. You've been fit for Sheldopedia. I will see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Bye.